all for coming out to Tabletop System Wars 2. It's a sequel. We did this last year. We're super excited to see you because this year they stuck us at 10 o'clock on Friday night.
Thank you for staying awake.
Yeah, so you guys are obviously the very serious Paxers who are super disappointed that closing at midnight instead of 2 a.m. We love you guys. So, this is a very serious panel. I want you to all understand that. We expect to be taken very, very seriously here. The point of the panel is to help you guys understand that our ideas are probably better than yours. You're going to come to us with your campaign ideas, be it as wacky as they can be, and we are going to tell you what system you should be running those games in. And we're probably going to argue with each other a lot about that. It's a great way to explore like how many different tabletop RPGs there are out there. There are so many these days, it's crazy. You hop on Drive Through RPG, which is a wonderful website, any day of the week, and just see how many there are. You know, and it'll be great proof when some nerds on this panel suggest something and some of us don't know what they're talking about. So let's start off. First of all, we're the Gamer Assembly. We're just a super casual group of developers and nerds and artists and like whatever people who like to get together and talk about games, primarily on the internet. You can look us up by dropping Gamer Assembly into your Google. I want to go quickly down the panelists and let everybody sort of introduce themselves. And then we're going to get right to the meat of things and let you suggest your stupid ideas for games. All right, go ahead. Let's start with you, Bob.
Hey everybody, my name's Bob Smith. I've been GMing and playing RPGs for longer than I'm comfortable to discuss. Love games. Love to talk about games. That's why I'm part of the GA. Looking forward to helping you with your horrible ideas and looking forward to helping you with some of your good ideas. Hopefully there's one or two of them out there.
Favorite system?
My favorite system, much to Tracy's chagrin, is GURPS.
Yes! Wow!
Not
I'm not Maranda. I've been playing RPGs since way back when Bob had hair. And, yeah. So, quite a while. My favorite RPG is Adventure Conquer King. And I also like talking about games. I'm just one of the nerds on GA.
Your favorite system?
Yeah, Adventure Conquer King.
Good.
PAX.
Zoza.
I didn't change it, no.
My name is T.W.Wombat. I'm the youngest and handsomest person on this panel. I've been playing role-playing games since whatever year 4th edition came out, because it's when I started. My favorite system right now is probably 13th edition.
Hi, my name is Casey. I'm a gamer enthusiast. I'm also a convention organizer and volunteer at Games on Demand. My favorite system is Burning Wheel.
So my name is Brent Newhall. I'm the RPG doctor. Proof.
This is stethoscope. Don't ask.
Yeah, exactly. I'll show you where you're I'm an indie game designer, design a handful of different systems, and my favorite right now is, I'm going to cop out the one I designed, the Whispering Road.
Hi, my given name is Jim White. My chosen name is T.W.Wombat. I edit role-playing games, I blog, I write stuff for kicks. I've been gaming since I got the Magenta box of D&D back in 1981. So, yeah. I earned the gray hair. My favorite system right now is Classic Traveler. I also like to raise a hypothetical glass to Art, who cannot be with us today.
Yes.
Because he decided to buy a house instead of coming back.
On the plus side, that's why I get to be up here.
Yes.
Or
Our replacement dog.
And I am your moderator, Brian LaBerge. I'm a freelance game designer and I'm the founder of Beer Star Games. I just want to throw out real quick that I've been very tongue-in-cheek about the game ideas you're going to bring up to the microphone. We're not actually going to make fun of you, we're going to make fun of each other. So if you do have a serious idea and you're not sure how to kick it around, absolutely bring that serious idea up to the microphone, and we will show you how nerdy we are. I'm perhaps most known for Dungeons & Dragons 4th edition, which I did some supplementary writing for.
He designed it.
Yeah. I designed the good parts.
Right.
And
How's that nose doing?
but my favorite system right now is actually Fate Accelerated, which is possibly the opposite of D&D 4e.
You designed the bad parts.
There were a few people that could be playing for that. But I want to start off right now with something simple, just to give you guys the idea of how we're going to do this. And then if you guys have something you want to propose, you can line up at that microphone afterwards. So, first things, if you really want to stand there, you may. First thing, let's start with something that we've all thought about and we all probably don't want to do, or maybe really do. It is a let's say a cybernet campaign, cyberpunk. But your players are really just want to play D&D. What would you run for them? Yeah, Bob, you can start it.
Well, I mean, the obvious and correct answer for this is obviously Shadow.
Yeah.
You need to be very careful about what edition you pick. Not only because some of them are better than others, but there's a kind of a crazy rabbit fan base out there that may seek you out in 10 unbottles of harm.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Just fair warning.
But why is Bob wrong?
I agree with Bob. Because Shadowrun is basically cyberpunk flavored D&D. Like, it's just a fantasy, like, coding. They didn't even get rid of the fantasy. I mean, they just added guns and cyberware.
And are we arguing for the latest edition of this game?
No.
No?
I couldn't tell the difference. I would argue against you. Because I think with Shadowrun, it's lovely, there are beautiful pictures, you can certainly spend some money on their books.
I didn't say the game was going to be any good.
Yeah. But I would actually jump to, and this is a little out there, BESM D20. Which is big eyes, small mouth. D20, which is the bastardized D20 version of the classic enemy game. Because it's got a lot of 3.5 feel to it, because it was designed to appeal to 3.5 players, D&D. But it's really easy to add your own stuff to it. It made races and mechs really, really, really simple. And it's going to be prep light for that person who's been running D&D for way too long.
So why not just use Besom?
What?
Why not use the non-D20 Besom?
Because you know D20. No.
That's nice when you're wrong.
Oh, I'm wrong?
Yes.
Okay,
you're
go
right.
ahead.
But it depends on what kind of D&D you want.
Oh, okay.
Because if you're looking to truly capture a different feel, i.e., the players want to play D&D, but they really want to capture a feel something different or weird, I'm going to go with something really different, Apocalypse World. Because Apocalypse World takes a lot of the basic ideas of D&D in terms of your basic stats and moves and things like that, but it puts it in a context where you have stats like cool and hot and things that really fit into that kind of universe.
I think you deserve to be slapped for saying that Apocalypse World is like D&D. But go ahead.
I can't recall ever playing in a game of Apocalypse World where I killed someone, took their stuff, and still felt like I could call myself a good person. Which really is the je ne sais quoi of D&D.
We've all forgotten one important thing, which is Gamma World.
Oh.
And Gamma World, after all, is D&D in the future. And so if you like 4th edition, I know there were a lot of boo and hisses earlier, you've got the new Gamma World. If you like older editions of D&D, you've got previous Gamma Worlds. If you like Marvel superheroes, there's a Gamma World out there for you. So don't forget Gamma World.
You're almost correct.
Oh my gosh!
But what you want is Dungeons & Dragons 4th edition.
Have you seen those players or mechs and they can just bolt on you powers?
Better.
Okay.
There's already a third-party supplement for this. It's called Amber, I believe, and it is loaded with charts for different kinds of weapons, how magic and mechanical things and science interact with each other. If you use magic near a mechanical object, you roll on a chart to determine mechanical failure. There's like 30 different kinds of guns, like rail guns that do 7d20 damage, but take 7 rounds to reload. It's got loads of charts, and if you're playing Cyberpunk, you love charts.
This is really learning something here, because the Player's Handbook 2 even has a purple spaceman in it. I don't know if this is
And on top of that, it has new classes specifically for this setting.
Alright. Nice, but you're wrong. If you go to tables, there's an old Iron Crown game called Cyberspace, which is Rollmaster in the future. So if you want tables, then do that.
Wow.
Are you sure that's not the Warhammer 40K RPG?
All right. That's enough of that. Okay. When Warhammer and 4E has been suggested for this, I think we need to move on.
No, it's Warhammer 40K. That is in the future.
That's right. I'm sorry. Who's got a better idea for us? Who's got a random idea? Yeah, absolutely. Get up there.
Sign up at Realist today.
Oh,
It's not on. Uh-oh.
Just shout at us.
Well, they have the mic. Hold on.
Of course, are on the way.
Just talk loud. Yeah, talk loud.
Yeah.
You can get the
So
mic.
me and my friends
Sorry?
want a system to kind of work out a little bit of a metagame in, which is we want a system that can work for any idea we come up with, where we play a game where we go to TV tropes and we hit random 5 times. Make a campaign, exclude anything that doesn't work, like text on screen, you can toss that out there and roll again.
Yeah.
I brought some examples.
We've seen the show before. Preparation.
So, example 1, your 5 random ideas are hurl it into the sun, graffiti town, your approval fills me with shame, girl next door, peek a boogeyman. Example 2. 1, you have celibate hero, monster suit, reoccurring boss, match 3 game, earthquake machine. And example 3, we have future antagonist, brown note, abduction is love, accidental innuendo, and platforming pocket pal.
Okay. All right.
Just so you can get a feel of how random this can get.
I think that
The correct answer is 2.
No, you gotta tell us why now, Jim. Come on now.
There are no limits. It is a Steve Jackson game from way back. It has the 4 stats you're used to looking at in GURPS, which are transmogrified for the 4-color animated comics world. There are no limits. A lot of what the rules say is crazy go nuts. Assign die values as you see fit to whatever's happening. Go with it. There are no limits. So I think that'll cover what you need to do.
Yeah. No, Matt thinks you're wrong.
Well,
Obviously.
only partially. Because from everything you described, I'd almost go, because TV tropes work so well into, Monster Hearts, which may not be a full campaign, it'll be a couple of adventures, as parts of the TV series, where everybody is something weird, a monster or an alien, and everybody else is trying to interact with one another. It does veer a little bit more towards the rom-com and edgy side of things, but, you had some of those with Brown.
Matt, I'm sorry. I'm going to let someone else tell you what the real system is, but I'm going to tell you why you're wrong. All right. With what she's talking about, they're going to have to write a ton of custom classes.
Okay, valid.
Well, I've got a game that pretty much fits all of that.
Yeah.
When we were having food and drinks before, I jokingly worked this in as a self-challenge. It's entirely too easy
I'm thinking the
to
same
work
thing.
this one in here. World of Cinnabar. Where you're going with this, it's basically every gonzo bit of every game you could think forcibly jammed into a single system for your enjoyment. I mean, the game was made for what you're trying to do.
I think going along with the TV tropes theme, I think the game Primetime Adventures would help out. If you can convince the other players to go along with the 5 random items you picked from TV tropes. It plays out a episodic series. It participates in a TV show. The GM is called the producer. You play out episodic, sessions, and each session has its own spotlight on one particular character, and there's a fan mail mechanic to reward players for acting well and playing the game well. I think I would use Primetime Adventures.
And Tracy, I want your help on this one, because there's one more thing that I think would be really useful. I can't remember the name of it. But it was a Kickstarter last year. They did a little release party at Gen Con. It's a short white book, and half the game is community setting building. You know what I'm talking about?
Kingdoms? Microsoft?
Short white book.
I feel awful because I know the guy that wrote it. I don't remember his name. But I helped him move boxes of books.
So we know it's on paper and it was written by a person.
It's a white book, but there's like 3 guys on the front.
When I think short white book, I'm thinking Old Frame Zero, which is
No, it don't
like
it doesn't matter, I'm sorry. But there's another system out there. Like half the game is community setting building. And it's with these random, like, disparate ideas.
That's hook. No.
I feel awful now, I'm sorry.
Now, Brian,
But-
I have a different direction we could go with this that may get to the root of the problem.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm hearing really is, you're saying you want to put all these things together, but what I'm really hearing from you is that you don't like yourselves a lot. You're forcibly creating a miserable gaming experience. Now, if that's what you're after, you can embody that in a game called My Life with Master. The depressed, self-hating minions who work for an evil overlord desperately seeking his approval. And that may really be what you actually want to do, I'm not sure.
It's also a metaphor for depression. We get to play Igor. It's Igor the role playing.
On a similar note, made RPG.
That's just completely random. I mean, if you just want random craziness that made.
Well, I mean, TV tropes is we're essentially generating an anime if we're going through TV tropes.
Or you could just play Fiasco and just pull from TV tropes.
You make like a TV tropes place.
That would be a single.
Or just populate a TV tropes place set with things you randomly pull from TV tropes and sort of loosely categorize them in the list. And I don't think it'd be good.
So, I think in conclusion, we don't recommend this, but you do have options. Thank you, Peter.
Oh, so it's actually on.
It's good.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm looking to run a game where my players are not so much playing individual characters as each player is a crew on a sailing ship during the golden age of sail.
Wow.
This is going to require thought, which may not be your strong suit.
True. During the golden age of sail. Well, something built on the Apocalypse World engine could run it, but you have to do some customization.
We have an idea in the back.
Oh,
What about beat to quarters?
I have no idea what that is.
I think you could use Microscope for that. And Microscope is for building a sort of shared world along with history. It's actually fantastic for bootstrapping a setting as a party and then using the world you created to make or play some other game. But you can do all sorts of crazy things in Microscope. And if you collectively as a group want to make a shared history involving ships and fleets and what their interactions are, what are the players doing?
Ideally, a play session wouldn't actually exist. I wouldn't want there to be a session per se. I had more envisioned it as more of a fantasy football. They write me an email saying, my crew, my ship.
I'm wondering if they're going to be sitting there talking to themselves.
My crew has sailed north by northwest for 30 days.
Right.
Then I send them an email, you have made land on this island.
Right.
And the players are not so much normally interacting with each other. It's mainly just statting out how to keep track of the strengths and weaknesses of the crew and each ship in comparison to one another.
What does it matter if they're not interacting with each other?
Because I want them to eventually interact with each other and probably kill each other.
Cool. So the plan is that eventually they will interact.
Yeah, they could.
Something that has come about recently as mostly played by post, played by G+, also played by email. It's called Callisto. The premise is, it's going to take a little bit of hacking, because the premise is you are movers and shakers in a society or several societies, and the whole game is writing letters back and forth. So you know this person as the ambassador of the Duchy of whatever, and so you're introducing yourself. It's meant to be a letter writing campaign, so all the players are drafting documents to each other and trying to get their goals met that way. So that might be something interesting to look at and hack.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I still think the first instinct of microscope is a good idea, and just like adjust the time scale.
You can do that in microscope.
Yeah.
You say, I don't know, this season or this year.
Right, yeah. We've collaborated, I've seen people, and some of us have done it as well, collaboratively write whole campaign settings with Microsoft. And you do it very much by, setting up this, here's my response to this event, here's my response to this event, people building off of each other.
I'm currently selling a setting document that he edited, and we helped write together that ended up being a dozens of pages setting.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have birds.
I wouldn't have.
Well, that way hack birthright too.
So I actually occasionally do a podcast where me and a friend just basically get drunk and do this.
Oh, cool.
And one of the ideas that we came up with that I've had a hard time really getting solid for a system involves a Bronze Age society that lives on floating rocks above a howling abyss. Land is scarce, so they send people out to capture floating rocks from volcanic formations, and the players would be castaways, victims of mind control, recently freed, setting out to destroy the society that's wrong with them. What should I run that?
So the players are the people who are not part of that society, essentially.
They were part of that society. They were criminals for whatever reason, and have recently come back to their senses.
Okay.
So they've been effectively colored.
Yeah. Someone else goes first. Go ahead, please.
You'll need to do a little bit of changing around. Specifically, the tone of this game doesn't really match what you're going for, but as far as storytelling opportunities, Pilgrims of the Flying Kettle.
That's
right.
It has to be a major hack, because it's very much Avatar: The Last Airbender, with weird spherical floating lands that people are visiting to help out. And you have to write stories that you pick words from.
It's set in a much happier, more cheerful version than what you just said.
I also would recommend any flavor of D&D that you're comfortable with.
Right.
It's just a setting where these guys are going to be murder hobos just...
In fact, jumping right on what Tracy said, my first instinct actually was one of the best current versions of D&D called Dungeon World. And it's very heavy, encouraging that story. And it sounds like what you really want to do with this is tell that story. And, I mean, you can take the classes straight up without editing them and play Bronze Age heroes. It's nothing stopping you.
That's cool, but wrong. Mythender is about destroying the world as...
It's technically about destroying God.
Right, yeah, no, I didn't say anything about that. No, someone else go first.
You're so wrong, Brenda, I'm embarrassed for you.
Yeah.
Okay. A couple months back, kind of as a joke, as a challenge that I laid down to him, our very own Brent wrote a game called Murder Hobos.
Yeah,
which is absolutely perfect for this.
No, you're right.
It's on G-Docs or something somewhere. It's absolutely...
Go to gamersembly.net. I'll post it there.
Oh, you know what? You can play the ship game with Lasers and Feelings. You can totally play yeah, Lasers and Feelings is free on the internet. Google that shit. Yep, I'm sorry. But yes, this guy.
Now, to me, it sounded like you hate your players. And so to Tracy's pick any version of D&D, I would go with Lamentations of the Flame Princess.
Yeah? You sticking with that? All right, go. I don't think oh, no, wait, plug your podcast open.
I don't think the encumbrance rules in Limitations are really going to matter for this. It's really sort of a dungeon crawl game.
Okay, so my podcast is Worlds in a Blender. worldsintheblender.com. We haven't updated lately, but I'm trying to get my lazy worthless partner to
Awesome.
update more often.
So if you like this, you guys can listen to that.
And so I've been playing role-playing games for about 33 years, the last 20 of which have been primarily Dungeons & Dragons. Our group was looking to expand, and we've been kind of identifying three main elements that we're looking for. Number one is we want to keep the kind of small encounter of Dungeons & Dragons. We want to expand that to include large-scale battles, with hundreds or thousands of groups. We also want to include like a world building in there, like civilization.
Okay.
Building up towns and expanding our territories.
Before we jump in, what's the last version of D&D that you're coming off of? Fourth edition. All right, go ahead. No, not you.
Yeah, I would actually say that is Adventure Conqueror King. You start off as an adventurer, so small things. You become a conqueror, you start amassing an army. You become a king, you have now a kingdom. You are leading other people, you're hiring adventurers, doing your thing. And you're always on the borderlands, you're always growing and expanding what is known world.
What would the players be doing? What would the characters be doing?
Well, they would start off as adventurers.
I guess that would work.
And it's important for you to build, wizards' towers and kingships and build cities. You wind up using, as your cleric, you get followers, burn through some of those followers and their faith to get new spells. It really is, it sounds exactly like what you're looking for, and it's designed from the end game down. Right. So I would look at that, but that's...
That'd be great if, like, the previous girl, he hated his group, which it sounds like he doesn't.
Oh.
So,
you heard me describe my players. They're slightly better than lemurs.
What he was actually describing was the second edition campaign setting called Birthright.
Oh.
It's already out there. It's none of this fancy, mummy, new, whatever it's
Right, this is AD&D, mine is basic.
But you can get Birthright from Draft Your RPG.
Yes,
you
can.
Yeah.
It was only freely available. I think when TSR got purchased, they made it available.
Right. Well,
no, they didn't. But there's if you go to birthright.net, there's a 3.5 port of Birthright rules, which is available for free download. It's like an 80 meg PDF or something.
Yeah.
But that's cool. The other thing I suggest is taking a look at Fate, because Fate can scale to whatever level you want, either FAE or Fate Core, and you can set up armies as PCs if you really want, or kingdoms as PCs, and as they interact with other entities at their level, you get to add what's the term I'm looking for? Attributes, aspects, and things like that. So.
I would normally agree with Jim because Fate is a good idea for a lot of things, but in this particular case, Jim's wrong because because you don't want to build kingdoms as Fate's characters. Yes, you do.
Everything is a character in Fate, so why not?
Why does the mess with your kingdom?
I think, so Dungeon World may also work. They're working on a war supplement that's currently called Inglorious. The beta is available for reading. You can see what they're doing for battles.
Oh yeah, because the settlement rules that the GM has, there's no reason why the players wouldn't be able to use those. It's all in the same Dungeon World book. Not designed for that, but yeah, I think Matt wins, but
And Axe does actually have, they did a Kickstarter for Mass Combat, so they're equivalent of the battle system rules. But if you go to Drive Through RPG or any of those and download it, they do have a second supplement that is their beta playtest of those rules for dealing with armies and how PCs interact with an army when they're leading it.
all right.
Let's get another one, because I can't live with him being right.
Okay, yeah.
It never happens!
Alright, so I'm Jamie Game, and we're just coming off
I asked them, what do you want to play next? And I got sort of differing opinions. I have a couple of people who want to do combat. One of them just wants to murder hobo around. The other one wants everyone to work together and make planes and that sort of thing. They both want to do combat. The other two want to do role play. And one of them wants to be the very acting, I'm in the spotlight, look at me kind of person. And the other person wants to think about the socio-political implications of an entire world being based on adventurers. And honestly, after coming out of Pathfinder, I'm the GM, and I'm kind of tired of really big rule systems. So I just want I'll do the work, but my ideal campaign is one where I can just roll up a session, take a couple of stim packs, and wig out for a while I play. But I'll do the work because I love them.
Yeah.
What system do you recommend?
Ooh.
Marvel Heroic.
No. Fantasy Heroic.
Fantasy Heroic.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
The current incarnation of what was originally designed to power Marvel Heroic.
Right. You can pick it up in the Cortex Plus Hacker's Guide. The entire system is in there as well as 2 other systems.
Hits that exact sweet spot of what you're looking for. There is enough freeform in there for your method actors to really do whatever they want. The games really support that type of character-type play. They want to play their characters. However, it's loosey-goosey enough around that your murder hobo can just look at the stats he's got that says, I kill things, I'm a D8 murder hobo with a D12 greatsword, and I pick up those dice and kill things. Right?
Yeah. And a lot of a lot of that social stuff in Fantasy Heroic is run the same way as combat. So you're combat-heavy people will suddenly get in an argument and be able to attack people with their argument, And it has that very satisfying crunch. I've got a murder hobo in my home campaign, and he can totally roll in a Cortex Plus system.
I don't know how to drop this mic, but I totally will.
No. I don't want to say what you said, but Tracy's going to be wrong.
I would intersperse, Marvel Heroic or Fantasy Heroic, along with a couple games of Fiasco every once in a while. So you can have your crazy guy who likes the spotlight, you've got your crazy murder hobo who can then murder him. And then you continue playing. And it's good for one shots. It's great for your down player. I would just toss it in a game of Fiasco. If you can agree on a right play set.
Yeah, and the new Fiasco book, the third one, I don't remember what it's called. It's called American Disasters or something weird like that. Has rules for chaining Fiasco sessions, which we did not have before.
Like the surviving characters, for example, could be in the next game.
Wait, characters survive Fiasco?
I've had a game that turned out everyone had a 10 or better. Everyone was happy at the end.
What?
Then you played wrong.
Anybody else? We don't usually are in so much agreement. I mean,
Yeah.
That was good. I did not expect that answer.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sure. The Cortex Plus Hacker's Guide, by the way, for anybody who's ever played Marvel or Leverage or Smallville or anything like that, has all those rules in it. So you can play any of the same feel of games that they've released under a license, and all that stuff is in the Cortex Plus Hacker's Guide. Go right ahead.
Hey, I'm the other half of the Wisdom Blender, and I'd like to say first in this public forum that Josh is a scoundrel and a braggart and probably jaywalks. So, okay, quick question. How many of you people have played at least 2 editions of Shadowrun? Okay, think of the edition you hate the most. So, I'm looking for a cyberpunk game. I want a game with, the 80s style, so many different kinds of guns, practically pornographic, loads of things you can put in your body that you shouldn't be putting there. The sort of crunch that's part of the point of a cyberpunk game. But I want to run a game where the characters are not properly motivated, working together specifically to break down some sort of powerful institution, government, whatnot, that's having a major negative effect on society. I want them to be, rather than mercenaries, I want them to be very heroic, and I want them to be very driven towards a goal. And I've been bouncing off this problem for 2 years, because everything I've found, you pretty much get channeled into, the solution to this problem is to kill everyone. Because really, the mechanics of killing everybody are the best part of this, and everything else is really hand-wavy. But I don't want something too abstract, because I want that, this is my robot army, it does a cool thing.
So crunch, but not all combat. I hate to say this, but my first instinct is GURPS. Right. They got that social engineering supplement that won the award last
Social
year.
engineering supplement, then if you crank back the clock to the early 90s, you got the cyberpunk supplement, which the US government was so afraid of. The SGK's office.
I'm sorry, but you asked for crunch.
So, I know the people here will probably disagree with me, most notably Tracy, but Eclipse Phase with a couple of other supplements that aren't, you know, a sort of standard game might fit what you're looking for. It's definitely got the gun porn, it's definitely got some other things that will work, but I'm not entirely sure it's going to do everything you want.
No, if you hit his players in Eclipse Phase, they're going to kill everyone. or they're going to die trying to kill everyone.
But then they die trying to do it, and they'll learn their lesson for next time.
There you go.
You know what my problem with this solution is, though, is that Eclipse Phase is too awesome a scenario to waste on its players.
Wow.
All respect to you, sir.
But not his players.
Are you one of his
Are
players?
they here?
If you can
He's
get
shaking his head.
If you can get rid of the gun porn issue, you might want to look at Free Market, which is a crazy game about a sci-fi future space station with people who are trying to cooperate with each other to accomplish a goal. Now, the goal of taking down the station would not fly, but you can definitely take down another group that you guys like, which is probably a lot more fun. But you work on the cooperation, the mechanics for dealing with the group, the mechanics for printing up guns if you want to do that, and color them in all sorts of different ways. You can wet work other players, you can kill other characters in various ways, you can steal their memories and give them worse memories back, you can do all sorts of crazy stuff. And you can kill them and they'll just come back because they just print with their body.
Do you want it to be possible for the characters to win?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh.
I want it to be possible for them to win. They don't have to actually win.
Yeah.
Just on the gun porn alone, I'd go with Cyberpunk 2013.
We're trying to avoid too much gun porn because we don't want to
He wanted the gun porn.
He said he got it. He just didn't want overly detailed.
Friday Night
At least from what I understand.
Yeah, Friday Night Firefight is the combat system for Cyberpunk 2013. Deadly as hell, unless you're well armored. And by well armored, you need like flak jackets, which is going to get some attention. The flavor of the game, it's definitely cyberpunk. It's definitely dark. It's definitely why bother? We're fighting against the man, but we're not going to win. Is the feel of it, but it's possible to.
What you actually want is tech more. I've only played it once, and my memories of it are a little bit fuzzy. But it's very much you get the gun porn, you get all the sci-fi robotic arms, and it's a very not terribly heavy crunch game.
All right. Cool. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi, guys.
We've got notes.
Not as detailed, but I host a gaming night at my place, and right now we're kind of solely into board games at the moment.
Okay.
We're trying to wean them into RPGs and tabletop and pen and paper. Every time we mention D&D, we get a bunch of weird faces and people are busy next week. We've already tried to start them on Microscope, which so far is so good, and we're going to try to get them into Fiasco.
Yes.
We need more gateway drugs.
I would go with Zombie Cinema. It comes in a VHS case, and it opens up, and it has a board game, it has a track. Basically, the zombie that chasing you, and each person is a different separate token. And the way the mechanics work, someone is going to get left behind and eventually devoured by something. As the game progresses. Eventually, you're going to want to backstab the other players. And usually, someone survives, but not always. But it has the illusion of board game, because it does have a board that you're progressing on. But I think you can easily trick them into role playing with it. You character creation involves picking random cards from different creature decks, which have basically adjectives that you can use to color your character, so you can get a random character.
So there's the Pathfinder card game, which is Rise of the Rune Lords. It doesn't have a D20. It doesn't require people to do a whole lot of role play. There's some box text at the beginning, and then you play a board game that your character levels up as you play from session to session. And my experience with it a guy like you, well not like you, but like some of your players, doesn't really like role-playing games, is he got a bit more and more into his character. So there's that, and then I introduced my nephews, who are at the time 9 and 11, to D&D 4th edition through the Castle, Ravenloft, and Wrath of Shargalon board games. Because there, again, there's no real role-playing, but you have a lot of the rules light right there to introduce them to this is a game. Here are some books we'll play with later on to not move forward.
There's it's now a free download by Dialogue Call. What the heck is it called?
Describe the game.
What?
Describe it.
It's the intro to RPGs where
it's a role-playing game called What is a Role-Playing Game?
Yeah.
It fits with a business card. I think I would copy it in my wallet.
Yeah, it's a fold-out business card, and the premise is you are astronauts who are going into space, and you've robbed a bank. Describe what happens next. It's very simple mechanics, and just go with it.
Going into space is the perfect alibi.
Right.
Is the reasoning.
It's on the launch pad. How can we possibly rob this bank? So you go through and try to figure out what went wrong, and you just basically tell the story. And when you get to a point where something dangerous happens, there's a dice mechanic for that, and something else happens. So there's two very simple dice mechanics for it, and that's a role-playing game. But if they're interested in that, you can branch out from there.
There's another good one called Everyone is John. Which, as a sort of pub game introduction to role-playing games, where basically every player is a voice in the head of a totally insane man named John. And so what helps is that each player actually bids for time in the spotlight, and you're only then telling the story of that character's control over John. So there's, in my experience, folks who get a little freaked out about the whole performance aspect, about bouncing off everyone else, that is made a lot easier because they're just talking to you about what they're going to do, and at any time they can say, okay, I'm done, someone else takes over. So it's an easy way of getting them in there, but it is totally a role-playing game. The other advantage is, with the mechanics, a game will generally last maybe 2 hours. So it's not too bad, and it's easy to do multiple sessions because the guy's crazy. So you just, next morning, what happens next.
What's also funny about that game is the GM, his title's called Everybody Else.
Oh, you got it?
I actually have a serious answer for this. This game doesn't get brought out a lot as a gateway drug, but I think it's one of the perfect ones. It's called Cyberrun. It's about a bunch of people who have superpowers, are being held captive by some organization. The transport vehicle they're in has crashed, and they have now escaped. Go. The game is very well structured as to how to play. What do you do? We talk as a group, we sort of build a story as we go, and when it comes time to find out, okay, well, what's going to happen, some dice get thrown. Players got a little play mat in front of them that helps them decide where the different dice are going to go, and then tells them about each little part of this problem, who gets the first say about what happens next. It's sometimes going to be the players, the player who rolled, sometimes it'll be the other players, sometimes it's the GM. But the key is, it removes some of the performance anxiety, because if you just have first say, you don't have whole say. You start it off, kind of get things going, and then the whole group kind of contributes. So there's a real friendly group storytelling atmosphere inside a very well-structured role-playing.
Let me give you another answer too. Game called Drop. Trying to right. Exactly. Imagine that. No. Drop is designed as a single-page role-playing game. It is very structured. You're a crew on a starship that comes to a planet, something's wrong, you drop to the surface, you explore a strange place, and then you run like hell. That's the entire game, and there's a mechanic to make things go worse, and there's a mechanic where every player gets something to do, and then you roll to see if somebody else adds something bad on the end of what they just did. And it's the entire game, it's very straightforward, it's easy for folks to understand, and again, you can play it at a night.
If you're trying these games, like if you try Fiasco and they don't like it, then maybe they don't want to play a role-playing game. You should ask something else.
Because your first instinct of Fiasco is excellent.
Yeah, Fiasco is fantastic.
There's another game? Are you going?
Go Casey.
Another good option, it's already been brought up today, is Marvel Heroic. Marvel's extremely popular right now, and a lot of people like things that have to do with Marvel.
Yes.
It's very easy to pick up. For someone who's never played role-playing games, it's all right. Tell me what your character does. Now look at your sheet and tell me how you do that. which it's very easy to follow. Sheets are laid out, pick something here, something here. Roll as many dice as you can.
It's also out of print. Like you can't buy the PDF and physical copies of whatever's out there. So.
There is our 4-color Heroes, which is very much a clone of it, and will do what Marvel Heroes does, just doesn't say Marvel in it. So download the PDF, make some applications.
We've got another option. It's designed for online play, specifically through G+, and it's been written by Vincent and Meg Baker. What the heck's the name of it? It's the one where the...
you can't think of the name.
I keep doing it, yeah. It's
The Pilgrims?
Yeah, the Pilgrims. The Pilgrims game. If you look at that online, there are very specific rules. I believe the rules are out now. It's like $3 or something for it. But you are one person, and your job is to survive. Everybody else's job is to kill you by playing the environment. And the way you interact is you, as the survivor, asks questions like, what alerts me to somebody following me? And if somebody answers, then the story just keeps building from there. And eventually, it plays out in probably about 45 minutes.
I'm not going to let Tracy respond because Tracy's already responded once, and I want to move forward a little bit because of time. But real quick, I'm going to drop on you Dread, because you can put a Jenga tower in the middle of the board, you can trick them. You have no idea that they're playing a role-playing game until you get started. But thank you. That was a hard question because we didn't get fairly argued because you wanted multiple things. So you're wrong, and you can sit down. Come on up, sir.
Good answer. Hey guys. So what I know about role-playing games is probably like infinitesimal. So
talk louder.
All right. Yo, I don't know what's up with this. So I apologize if this question is too easy for this group, but basically here's my situation. I have, including myself, about 8 people in their early to mid-30s who are all professionals with busy lives. We all have a small amount of role-playing experience, but almost none. We have tried D&D 3.5 and 4E, and we get bogged down so badly in the combat that one combat session, even if I make it small, takes weeks to complete. I can't keep doing it. If we're going to play, we have to find something faster. What can I do?
Okay. Bob.
All right, you want quick combat? Do you like sci-fi?
Sure. They'll take it. They'll like when I tell them to.
That's even better. Okay. The game you want is 316, Carnage Amongst the Stars. It is the game of alien bug hunting, where the 3rd Battalion, 16th Infantry Regiment is going from galaxy to galaxy, planet to planet, exterminating all even potential threats to life on Earth. It's mass killing. The combat is extremely quick, such that when you roll damage, you're rolling for how many aliens you killed. However, it's kind of a rickroll. They actually get into some pretty deep character role-playing without even realizing they're doing it, and that's really one of the areas where the game shines. But the combat moves along, and it's glorious for the levels of carnage that happen.
I think there's a lot of newer indie games that could work for you because, hopefully they get to the point quickly. I think Dungeon 1 would work if you want fantasy. Apocalypse World would be fantastic if you want a gritty apocalyptic game that the PCs will eventually start getting into the nerds and causing problems on their own.
Another thing to think about, do you want them doing combat or do you want them storytelling? Because a lot of the indie games are very much on the storytelling side.
They want a mix, and I'm fine with it. I mean, it's so many people.
Right. That's a big group too.
I mean, Tracy is almost right. He's so close to right, it hurts. Because I noticed that you have a 3-day badge, sir. So what you really want is to go to Games on Demand tomorrow. And you are going to take a look at what they have, especially if people are running Dungeon World, which they almost certainly are. And what you want to do, sir, is you want to play the game here first. And that will help you not get bogged down by presenting it to your players. There's a lot of great GMs at Games on Demand this weekend. They're running pretty much till the end of the show, both Saturday and Sunday. And it's literally Games on Demand. You go over the booth, it's in the tabletop section. You say, I want to play games. They say, hi, my name is Bob. Please sit down and I will play a game with you. With more people. But they'll grab the group for you. You can be a solo person. And if you want to learn to play games so that you can run it, this is the time to do it while you're at this convention. Go to Games on Demand. Absolutely.
Sorry, now when you said you have 8 players, yourself and 8 players, is that consistently 8, or is it somewhere between like 4 to 6, maybe 8 if you get a really amazing night?
I would say it's 8 like 3 times out of 5 and like 6 the other 2. Something like that.
Okay, so you're still getting a fairly large group. what happens is anytime you have that many people, everybody has to make a decision and everybody has to do something. And no matter what, a lot of times that's going to bog things down just because of the number of people and the number of choices. So no matter what game you're doing, you might want to look at investing in a little egg timer and saying you have a minute, you have 90 seconds. If this timer runs out, we go to the next person.
Chesnix is here and they sell them.
Brian, I know I already answered, but you just gave me an absolute epiphany here.
Oh yeah?
So the problem that you have isn't games, you have too many players at your table. And managing them is going to be a bear no matter what game it is. Even an amazing game like Apocalypse World still is very GM intensive to move the spotlight around to 7 different players, 6 different players, whatever. You go the total opposite direction. Get yourself a copy of Paranoia, in which case. What do you do right now? Oh, that's great. You know what? That didn't even matter. You're dead. Next guy. Next guy. Right? You know what? You should be dead too. You died too.
Or you know what? If you want to just like jump into things too, if you're right, there's a lot of players here. I would say Lasers and Feelings again. It's a 1-page document that is the entire system. It's basically fake Star Trek in a lot of ways, and it's really easy to jump into, to like, you know, go through a character and like make up a new one up real quick. And I find it easier to manage big groups of that game, just because there's really like, you know, you're gonna do your thing real quick and you can move on.
The problem with Paranoia is it's not easily sustainable across, like, in my opinion, more than 3 sessions. I mean, they're gonna die, fine, but
you got another clone.
But even if you wipe out the entire 6-pack, like eventually the mission will be over because they screwed it up badly enough. And then the next session, what do? You make a new mission, or you play some other game? Like Paranoia is a good throw it in every once in a while sort of game. You can't you can't easily play sustained campaign.
So what Tracy is saying is that Bob is wrong, and I think it's a great place to move on to the next question. Thank you very much. I want to make sure we get a couple more in.
Okay, so this is a fantasy setting. The players are veterans of a war against mages, and they have no recollection of the actual battles after a certain point. So the game starts off with them already having won the war, and it will go over the course of, they'll get flashbacks back to beginning battles. So I need like a combat system that's not so much about survival, it's about how like glorious can you make a combat. It's very story driven.
You need to write your novel.
No, but I mean, it's because we're talking about collaborative storytelling.
Yeah, the idea is they would also get like advantages and stuff from things they recall. Like what will happen is there'll be a story that takes place in the present day, and as they recall things, they start to pick up things that they lost during that time period that helps them along the way.
And so, but to Brent's point, are you actually going to let them write campaign history in these flashbacks?
Yeah.
Or are you trying to get them to hit your campaign?
I have a mechanic within the story that allows them to alter the world's events.
Okay.
So they can change the timeline a little bit. There's certain like endpoints that are kind of generic to it that they'll know about, but they can, with the individual details are up to that.
I think you should take a look at a game called Penny for My Thoughts, or Penny for Your Thoughts. It's a game, there's no war stuff going on, but it's a game about amnesiacs who are seeking medical treatment. And you don't have a complete character when you start, and the other players suggest ideas for what, like memories that you've forgotten, and you get to decide whether or not to incorporate them. So the people give you options, you say, no, Brian's answer or memory about what happened. So it definitely plays with memory in a very interesting way. You should definitely look at it.
Yeah, you're very wrong, and it's disgusting to me, frankly. You want either Fate Core or Fate Accelerated.
What?
No.
I love Fate Accelerated, you're wrong. For what he's talking about, that doesn't support his idea. Go ahead, Bob.
One of the things I neglected to mention when I brought up Siren as a core feature of this is that all of the characters are amnesiacs, and a core part of the game is recovering those memories. In fact, that's the very timer of the game.
So who's chasing them then?
We can work with it. I'm giving them a framework here. The other recommendation I would give you also is Microscope. It allows you to set some certain frame points that are already established, but leave the history and the how and the why in between very wide open.
I would play it straight once on Microscope, and then I would play around with time and just have each scene be preceding the other one. Like, you're just going backwards in time.
But with Microsoft, there's no combat system. It's about telling a story.
But you can still narrate, and then the shit blew up.
So my players are more about the story than the combat anyway. So, but I would like like the story, the combat doesn't need like dice rolls, but there is fights that happen.
You might also want to look at Savage Worlds, because Savage Worlds, once you build players, you can give them a few extra points to make them higher level. I found most Savage Worlds campaigns I've been in, players don't level a whole lot, so there's not a whole lot of worry about, oh, but you did this 3 years ago in your time, and you should de-level to, you know, in D&D terms, like 5th level. It's all the same, and it's just a matter of plugging and playing where and when you're doing stuff.
That's excellent. All right, thank you very much. We're now going to enter the lightning round, okay? So no one else can get in line, and I'm going to super heavily moderate this, okay? Come up to the microphone. Tell us what you think.
House of Cards. Something that gives soft power and politics crunch.
Okay. Wow. Any of it?
I do one fake core accelerated.
Yeah, absolutely. Fake accelerated. I think that's a good idea.
Fiasco actually hits the root of the intent of House of Cards.
Right. You can use that third supplement to do string up a little campaign if you want to. Yeah. What's the Cortex Plus for leverage?
House of the Blooded.
What?
House of the Blooded, yes. Yes. House of the Blooded. That's exactly it.
Okay, House of the Blooded is the correct answer. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Rogue Squadron, Raid Squadron type of game. So half of the time you're going to be doing sort of commando raids, and half the time they're all going to be pilots and individual starfighters. I'm looking for something with starfighter combat that is not super, super crunchy. I need like massive 3D boxes and shit like that.
Do you like Lego?
Yeah.
There's a game currently on Kickstarter called Mobile Frame Zero Alpha Bandits. So Mobile Frame Zero, the first one was you play mechs. You make mechs out of Lego and you blow your shit up and you lose a limb, you rip the limb off, and it's all made of Lego. The new game currently on Kickstarter involves ships, so you got capital combat. And I think they can also have swarms of mechs, fly out of them or whatever. But it's like ship-on-ship combat, so I think that is the cover.
So my initial reaction is to Star Wars stuff, so Edge of Empire or even the Western Games D6, but also Traveler might work, although it doesn't quite do Starfighter as much as like, a ship with a couple of different people in it doing stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Traveler's not good for that.
Yeah.
Not good for dogfight type of things.
That's really the core here, is dogfights.
Right. My answer is actually Fate Accelerated, because with Fate Accelerated, you go to your character sheet, and yes, I'm an awesome pilot, and it's wicked fun, and then I jump in my plane, and I'm using the exact same character sheet. You don't really need additional rules to just get into space and start going.
But Brian, isn't that your answer to everything?
He's correct. My wife ran that exactly.
There you go. So the answer is I'm correct. Thank you very much.
Corollary to the previous bad question. I have a great group of players. They're really creative. They really get into their characters. I have someone I want to introduce to role-playing. I want to be able to use my players to get this person into it without putting them in a game where all my really good experienced players overshadow this other person, and they can feel somehow supported and then figure out why the rest of us have so much fun.
So you just need a system your other players haven't played yet. And also lightweight, so it doesn't scare off the new person.
But I'm worried that if they're just more experienced with the acting or the creativity versus the other person has just never been in the situation before, they might not get a chance to say it.
Everyone is John.
Yeah. Right.
Fiasco.
There's only one.
Right. Oh, Fiasco. Fiasco's good because like, people have to set scenes. Like, you're forced to take a card. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they're new and they don't know what they're doing, they can ask for the other players to create the scene.
Yeah.
Are you all secretly bad people?
Bad?
Yes.
No, no.
Oh, no.
No. Okay. What are you doing here?
If they were, I would highly recommend the Shabalhiri Roach. Similar to Fiasco in that there's a lot of scene setting and everything, but there's a little bit more dice rolling to hang your hands on, and it really is.
It's a little too much dice rolling, but it's by the same author as Fiasco. And it is a mind-controlling roach that's wandering around campus, and the players are trying to get tenure in a small university.
I actually know a friend might have it.
Alright, the other thing you can do is call a Cthulhu because nobody knows what the hell is going on. So you're on an even footing. Yeah, Mythos, I'm just saying.
My other answer is, of course, the Marvel Heroic RPG, which we shut down earlier because it's not. You can get the book here at PAX East. What's the Indie Press Revolution has it? They have a ton of copies right now. Get it tomorrow before they're all gone. Because all of you are going to go buy it after this panel. But everybody knows who Captain America is, and there's an initiative system. So they're going to get their chance to talk no matter what. There's going to be a character that's familiar to them no matter what, because everybody knows something about Marvel at this point.
And you can give that new player a more significant character too.
Yeah, give him Spider-Man, and that's it. You know what I mean? Spider-Man is going to have something to say all the time.
Alternatively, if you want something where none of your players, and even you, have any idea what's going on, this was brought up while we were out at lunch today, Fatal.
Ignore that.
And on that note,
Right, thank you for your question.
You're just going for bonus points.
So, I appreciate your question. Thank you very much. Again, we are the Gamer Assembly. We are a loose collection of people. So if you look us up on the Google, you will find a lot of things that aren't currently happening. Like you will find our blog, where there are no new blog posts. We're also doing our own things these days. But you will also find our wiki, which has a link to our chat room, which almost always has somebody in it talking, even if they're talking to themselves. By all means, we're not an exclusive club. Come in, talk to us, ask us questions. We are going to put this up on the YouTube eventually. I believe the YouTube channel is Game or something, but I'm not positive. But,
my personal one.
yeah. Or Jim's, I don't know.
Yeah.
But you know, if you can't remember something we said, you will be able to find this video.
and
We might even update the blog with the video.
and to that point, like some of the folks up here actually like get money for designing games.
That's true. Buy
we are,
books. Yeah.
some of us are
Buy his
serious.
books. Yeah.
Buy his books.
Yes.
He's an editor. He can edit your words.
Yes.
Awesome at it. So it's actually a really good resource.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't bite, just talk to us. We'll be hanging out for a while afterwards if you want to come up and ask.
Bob bites.
We hate each other.
Bob does bite.
He does.
He's a gentleman.
But thank you for coming. We appreciate it.
Well, the setting is easy enough to pour anywhere.
Exactly. Right.
But the game system I used for my 7-year-old and a bunch of her friends, there were 5 of them.
There are PC, NPC, PC triangles, where two PCs want the same thing out of an NPC, or want different things, and they're torn about it. And
do those build themselves pretty well? Or is it a lot of
that's one of the things the GM needs to do. But you just need to give them intriguing NPCs that are awesome.
He's got the mechanics and the structure. I've got the theater of the mind. So we balance off each other like really well. And
You're taking a page from the wave of indie design where they're not just looking at mechanics or story structure, but they're actually looking at how is the game played? What's that interaction dynamic? Who's doing what at the table? I do a lot of seminars on Gen Con to do this series. Okay. One of the things I always make sure to tell people, the ideas your players come up with at their table are 1,000 times more interesting than the ideas that you come up with. So as you're building stories, incorporate what they are thinking. The easiest way you want to write a murder mystery, don't even do it. Write a murder. The mystery one, just listen.
that would solve our 1001 issue. We always come up with 1,000 ways to do something, and it never fails that we come up with 1,000 ways to do it. And someone says the 1,001st way of doing it.
You can do chases.
You can also do chases.
I would pass Fate Accelerated before Savage Worlds.
Okay. I disagree, but again, I think the simplicity of Savage Worlds is really what I like, and I found Fate Accelerated confused me.
What? It's this big. It is way for things.
It's a $5 book.
I understand.
Same Savage Worlds is $10. Fate Accelerated is $5.
Sorcerer Half-Orc, which is hysterical. It's so much fun. But then he's and I've written out his spells from his cards, so it's more like a board game. But it's still he's looking at the numbers and they don't mean a lot to him. And the ranges and stuff like that.